We're going to start.
I'm Rabbi Julie Danan, and I'm joined today by Cantor Michelle Rosansky, and we're also hearing Alicia Mickenberg on the viola. We'll be hearing Todd Hacker on percussion, and Avraham will be doing some singing, and many other people participating. Al Hoffman's going to be reading Torah. You'll hear a lot of participants today. So also, again, thank you to Epworth Church for being our wonderful hosts, and for Pastor Bo, who's up there in the sound room, for just tirelessly helping us, and our logistics people, Barry and Reba. Right now there's a kids program that's going on out in the hall down to the right. Yeah, Alyssa will take any kids. Kids 5 and up, kids 5 and younger can go with a parent. Okay. You are welcome, and then they'll come back for the Torah service, as you wish. So I'd like you to start, though, by greeting one another. Please be sure to greet someone, people you know, but also someone, a new face, someone you don't know. And if you were here last night or watched the stream last night, maybe you want to share an insight that you had from last night's service. Let's just take a moment to make sure everybody's welcome and nobody leaves saying, oh, nobody greeted me. Reach out across the aisles, reach out down the road. All right, so Shana Tova, Shana Tova. I hope we'll get a chance to interact later in the service and hopefully greet us at the end of the service out in the lobby and greet one another. Could you raise your hand if you ever participated in one of these like worldwide meditations, like or nationwide, like we're all going to do a moment of silence at a certain hour, we're all going to pray for peace or meditate a certain hour. Anybody ever do that? Oh, no. Okay, a few people. How did that feel? Powerful, yeah? So Rosh Hashanah, these days of awe, are like that, but multiplied manyfold, thinking about Jews around the world. As the sun came up, all around the globe, Jews are gathering to celebrate this new year, 5783. And back in New York, one of my congregants, Peter Schaefer, suggested that maybe a lot of the power of these days of awe comes from a kind of a spiritual field that we're creating around the world, and one that's been going on now for a millennium. So I'd like to invite you to engage in a little bit of a guided visualization or meditation. Of course, anytime, everything we do is kind of optional. If you're like not into that, browse the prayer book, look at the decorations. But if you're into it, maybe just take a deep breath, let it out, put aside any baggage and maybe any mental baggage you brought in with you today. And I invite you to feel connected in your heart to all the people. You might be looking around, seeing all the people who are here with us today. Love your neighbor as yourself. Our sages taught us to look about the synagogue and say, Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself before we begin to pray. And for those who are joining us by live stream, do the same. Think of hundreds of people joining you on live stream and joining you here in the sanctuary. And then feel in your heart connecting in ever-widening circles with others who are gathering to pray. We want to wish Shana Tova to everybody at the Chabad here in Lower Delaware, and everybody in synagogues throughout Delaware, whether Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, all of them joining together to pray Rosh Hashanah. Now widen that circle and consider Jews across this continent, time zone by time zone, getting up to greet Rosh Hashanah in the new year. And all the Jews that are in Israel and in Europe already said their morning prayers. They're still celebrating this day. Our congregation is truly global. Let's expand it more. We're here at Epworth, so let's join with all of our fellow human beings who pray to God in so many languages, in so many ways, who seek the divine, who seek to be better human beings. Connect to them in our hearts. And wider than that, we connect to all of creation. Take yourself to a moment in nature, whether it was the ospreys and the dolphins, whatever creatures you see, the plants, the animals, each in their own way, praying and reflecting back the glory of the Creator. And with this sense of connection to the universal, may we begin our prayers today. How good it is, Ma Tovu, which is in your handout, Cantor's handout, page 1.
Yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai. Ma tovu o halecha, Yaakov, mishkenotecha. Tohu ohalecha Sarah Mishkenotecha Rivka Vani Birov Pastecha Avovetecha Vani Berov Pastecha Avovetecha Vetecha Matovu ohalecha Mishkenotecha Yisrael Matovu ohalecha Sarah Mishkenotecha Yisrael Aidai, aidai, dai, aidai, dai, aidai, dai, da da dai, aidai, aidai, dai, aidai, dai, aidai, dai, aidai, aidai, dai, aidai, dai, aidai, aidai, dai, aidai, dai, 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 aidai,
On page 77 in your Machzor, your prayer book, our morning blessings every day give us an opportunity to thank God for who we are and for everything in our bodies and faculties and identities. And they also give us a hint that we should be doing things to others to lift them up, to raise up the fallen, to bring order to people's lives, to bring clothing to those in need, and so forth. So the cantor will lead us in them. You can conclude them. We're going to conclude them in English. You can conclude Hebrew, English. Remember always, Hebrew, English, it's your choice how you want to pray. Likewise with body posture. When we say rise, if you need to be seated, just rise up in your spirit, sit up straighter. And also, the seats are not equipped with seat belts, so you can stand up. If you feel like dancing a little, maybe go to the side aisle, a little renewal, move around. Don't feel you have to be seated the whole time. So, morning blessings, rise as you wish, page 77.
New Melech Haolam, for the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for shaping us in your image. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for creating us to be free. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving us the life of Jewish people. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for opening our eyes. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for clothing our bodies. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for helping us break free when we are bound. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for helping us rise when we are fallen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for placing us in an ordered universe. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for enabling us to meet our needs. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for guiding us in proper paths. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving our people strength to endure. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for crowning Israel with glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving courage to those whom the world has tired out, and for giving us the hope of a new day.
Please be seated. And of course, that's a very special high holiday nusach, the high holiday melodies that you'll be hearing throughout the day. And now, speaking of high holiday special songs, we're going to have a Sephardic song from Avraham. At each service, he's doing some Sephardic selections, and this is the Moroccan song handout. And on page 2, you find Chon Tachon, asking for God's mercy on this day of awe, and Avraham will lead this page 2 on this handout.
Chon tachon al banecha lechashavim, upachad lefanecha nitzavim, yereim, 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 yereim et yikaru. Ladin ki alken ba'uni cha'avim, zachorti skor rachamim yom adin, hafer ka'asuz amim et dadin lirecha, lirecha, ולחושבי שמך, הם היושבי על מדין על מדין. קרב לי שנת גואל ופדני, על ממנוחות האל תנחני, וזכורי, 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 וזכורי זכות ישתם, על ליבך כחותם שימני, וזכורי, וזכורי, וזכורי.
Chazak u'Baruch, that's the Sephardic version of Yasher Koach. And if you want to learn more of the Sephardic songs you'll be hearing during the break on Yom Kippur, Avram conducts a little kumzitz, a little sing-along of learning some of the Sephardic songs. So we talked about on the Shabbat right before Rosh Hashanah, the metaphors with which we think about God. When we talk about God as our Father, our King, those are metaphors saying we perceive God like that. God has those qualities, and those aren't the only ways to see God. So sometimes when we see this central metaphor, HaMelech, the King, for some it's powerful. Witness the monarchy in Britain still has some power. For others, it's an antiquated patriarchal metaphor. But HaMelech, the king, can mean so many other things, from the sovereign on the throne to the guiding power inherent in the universe. Rabbi David Wolfblank of blessed memory shared, I believe it's a Hasidic teaching, that Melech in Hebrew is an acronym, king. It stands for Moach, the brain, the mind, Lev, the heart, and Klayot Kaved, the inner organs, the kishkas, literally kidneys and liver. And as we go through the year, may we find the inner melech, be guided by our mind, rationality, be guided by our heart, and be guided when we need to by our gut feelings. We turn to this opening prayer of HaMelech, page 109 in your Mahzor.
HaMelech Yoshev al kisei Kadosh Shemo v'chatu ranenu tzadakim b'Adonai laisharim navatehila b'fi yesharim b'titromam ubdivrei tzadakim titbarach Uvilshon chasidim titkadash. From the deepest parts of holy people, God's holiness shines through. Yishtabach shimcha lad Malkeinu. Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol v'HaKadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz.
Chatzi Kaddish, page 111. Before that, picking up on page 110 first. Okay.
Brachot v'hodot me'ata v'ad olam את Adonai, El Melech Gadol Batishbachot, El Haodot Adon Haniflaot, Habocher B'shirei Zimra, Melech El Chei HaOlamim, Yikadal v'Yikadash Shemei Rabbah, V'yalmad Yivrach Hirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'b'chayei t'chol Beit Yisrael, B'galav Yizman Kariv, V'imru Amen. Yehesh Shmei Rabbah mevarach, Li'olam u'l'olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, V'yitpahar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shmei Kedusha Rihu, Li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiram bi'olma, V'imru Amen.
Baruch Hu is a call to praise the source of life. The word Baruch Hu and Nivarech, all of these are related in Hebrew by the root to the word for knees, for bending our knees. And it's also related to the word brecha, a pool of water. So as we say this prayer as able, we bend our knees and we kind of get ready to dive into the pool of prayer and praise, or here maybe into the sea of prayer and praise. Baruch Hu, page 113.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamavorach, Baruch Adonai Hamavorach, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or, Uvorei choshech, Oseh shalom, Uvorei atakol. Bring forth their light, that ours may shine anew. Page 114 and 115. From Zion and from all the lands wherein we strive to make you one. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamaorot, creator of lights.
What great love has sustained us throughout our lifetimes. Choose this morning to recall people or even creatures who love you, or send out some love from your heart to those who need it, be they near or far. Bring that to mind now. The love flowing in or the love flowing out. As Cantor Michelle leads us in a song and chant for Ahava Rabbah, found on the handout, page 5.
It's on the handout, but I also realized it's the first 3 lines of the prayer on page 116. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu.
And for those who enjoy chanting all of the Hebrew, go ahead and quietly chant that. It's always choose your own prayer adventure.
So what I'd like you to do, it's just 2 phrases, if you could repeat after me. This is how it goes. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu. the second phrase. Ahava Rabba Ahavtanu, 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 Ahava Rabba.
Page 118, back in our Machzor. Unite our hearts to serve you.
Enenu.
That's starting on 117 and then going to 118. On page 118.
Shema. Oh,
Hatima.
oh, I'm sorry. Hatima.
118.
Yes. V'keravtanu l'shimcha hagadol sela behemet lehodot lecha uyachedcha v'yahava baruch atah Adonai abocher b'yamo Yisrael v'yahava.
121 is the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol miotecha, v'hayu advarim ha'ele, asher anachi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibartam, v'shitecha b'beitecha, u'v'lechtecha b'derech, u'v'sharpecha u'mecha, u'v'shartom leot ayat והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישורך.
Continuing silently or quietly davening, quietly praying the full Shema through page 126 and 7, or contemplating the English translation, a word that catches your attention, or just your own private time for meditation and contemplation on the themes of the Shema. Adonai Elohechem Emet. After we sing Micha Mocha, our song of redemptive praise to God, we will soon be entering the Amida, the Tefillah, which is the central prayer of every Jewish service. Amida because we stand as able, or we rise up upright in our spirits and posture. You can say it any way that works for you. And on the high holidays, there are many special additions for the season. In many traditional synagogues, there is another Amida, Musaf. In our prayer book, it's all kind of combined into this one Amida. And we really wanted to share many of the beloved highlights. So there will be a little flipping back and forth, but we'll guide you through the traditions. So we'll sing the Micha Mocha, and then, and then after that, I'm going to guide you in a small meditative experience to enter into the Amida, and we'll be ready for that central prayer of our worship this morning. So Micha Mocha, page 128.
Micha mocha boilim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Norah tehilot osei feleh. Shira chadasha shipug yulim, L'shimcha al sfatayam, Yachad kulam, Hodu v'im l'chu v'yameru, Adonai imloch, Le'olam va'ed. Sur Yisrael, U'mavi Ezrat Yisrael, Uvdei Chumecha, Elorei Yisrael, Go'alenu, Adonai tzvot shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
As we enter into the Amida, it is customary to take 3 tiny steps backwards and 3 tiny steps forwards. As we take the steps backwards and forwards, it's as if we are backing up so we can enter into the divine presence. And today, I invite you, if you wish, to take those tiny steps back, linking to generations past and to come on this day of remembrance. So I invite you to take a tiny step back in the space you have and allow yourself to feel connected to your parents. or if you prefer, to other mentors of their generation, connecting to their love, their struggles, and their dreams for you. Feel them present with you. Taking another tiny step back, I invite you to connect to your grandparents or to their generation, elders of their generation with whom you connect, to the world they lived in and their hopes and dreams for future generations. And with a third step back, I invite you to feel yourself connected all the way back to our most ancient ancestors who could not even dream of the world we have today, but who are really here within us, in our DNA and in our thoughts and in our culture. And now I invite you to begin the tiny steps forward. So taking that first step forward, feel yourself connected to the next generation, whether this be your own children, if you have children of your own, or you're young and hope to have future children, or to your students, mentees, young people you care about who are your spiritual children. Connect to that next generation, to their world and their dreams. And taking one more tiny step forward, connect to the next generation, to grandchildren if you have them or hope to have them someday, or to the students of your students, or the children of young people that you care about. And with a third tiny step forward, take a step into untold generations to come, generations who will inherit the world we are making today. L'dor vador, generation to generation. May we be worthy of the ancestors. May we be worthy of the coming generations. And with this, we open our mouths to pray. Page 130.
Adonai, open my lips and let my mouth declare your praise. Baruch Zachreinu l'chaim l'chaim, melech chafetz b'chaim, v'chot v'enu b'sefer ha'chayim, lemancha Elohim chayim. Melech ozer Moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham v'ezrat Sarah. Gibor li'olam Adonai, Mechayei metim atah, Rav leHoshia, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot u'midom elach. Melech meimit u'mechayeh u'matzmiach Yeshua. Michamocha avarachamim. Zocher Yitzurav l'chaim berachamim. V'ne'eman atah l'chayot meimit. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hametim Amen.
Unetanneh Tokef, shrouded in legend, originated in the Middle Ages, if not well before. This prayer is a powerful evocation of life's uncertainty and fleeting nature. Today on Rosh Hashanah, we will dip into its more metaphorical sense. In Yom Kippur, we will dive deeper. And the prayer asserts that teshuvah, repentance, tefillah, prayer, and tzedakah, righteous giving to others, can soften the reality of the human condition. Beginning on page 135.
Unetanneh Tokef, Kiddusha tayom, ki unora be'ayom, uvoti naseh malchutecha, v'yikom bechesed kisecha, v'teshev alav be'emet, emet, ki atahu dayanu mochiach, v'yodei avoid, v'chotev v'chotem, v'sofer umonei, v'tizkor kol hamishpachot
Page 138, Shofar Gadol, 136, Shofar Gadol.
ובשופר גדול ייתקע, וכל דממתקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפזון, וכיורותיי יאחזון, ויאמרו הנה יום הדין לבכות על צבא מרום בעתיד, כי לא יזכו בעיניך בעתיד, וכל באי עולם יעברון לפניך, וכל באי עולם יעברון לפניך, כי בני
Page 138, on Rosh Hashanah it is written in that book of life, and Yom Kippur it is sealed. 2 meters. 2 meters. The beginning of it.
Rosh Hashanah yikatelun, u'b'yom Yom Kippur yikatelun. Rosh Hashanah yikatelun, u'b'yom Yom Kippur yikatelun.
We have a reading, and David Hirschler, are you here? Coming up for this? David and Evie too. Wonderful. If you need to be seated during this reading, that's fine. Contemplating Unetanneh Tokef, page 133.
We shall affirm the mighty holiness of this day, a day of awe and dread. For upon it is God's rule exalted, and the holy throne established in covenantal love.
When we really begin a new year, it is decided, and when we actually repent, it is determined.
Who shall be truly alive, and who shall merely exist?
Who shall be tormented by the fire of ambition, and whose hopes shall be quenched by the waters of failure?
Who shall be pierced by the sharp sword of envy, and who shall be torn by the wild beast of resentment?
Who shall hunger for companionship, and who shall thirst for approval?
Who shall be shattered by storms of change, and who shall be plagued by the pressures of conformity?
Who shall be strangled by insecurity, and who shall be beaten into submission?
Who shall be content with their lot, and who shall go wandering in search of satisfaction?
Who shall be serene, and who shall be distraught?
But teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah, repentance, prayer, and just action have the power to change the character of our lives. Therefore, let us repent, pray, and do right, so that this may be a genuinely new year of life.
Rosh Hashanah yikatevun, yikatevun, uvyom som kippur yechatemun, yechatemun. And we sing 3 times at the bottom of that page.
138.
Utshuvah, utfilah, utsedakah, mavirin et roah ha'aseh. Utshuvah, utfilah, utsedakah, mavirin et roah ha'zerah. Utshuvah, utfilah, utsedakah, mavirin et roah ha'zerah.
Again, rising as we're able. If you've been seated, we turn to the Kiddusha, the version found on page 395. So please turn back to page 395.
In the secret sounds of seraphim, we sing of your sanctity. Kakatuv al yad nevi'echa, v'karaz el zev yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai tzavot, melech haaretz, kivodo, malei olam, sharatav shalom elazeh, ayeh mekom kivodo, liumatam, baruch yomeru, baruch kivod Adonai, mim kamo, hu yifen birachamim, v'yachonam yachatim shemo, erev avoker, v'chol yom tamid, pamayim bi'ahava, shema omrim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Malkeinu, Moshienu, Hu lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adir, Adireinu. Adonai, Adoneinu. Ma'adir Shimcha b'chol haaretz. V'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Vayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad. U'shemo echad. U'b'divrei kodshecha katuv le'emor. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, L'dor v'dor, Hallelujah. L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, Nagid God lecha. L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, Nagid God lecha. U'lenetzach netzachim, Kiddushatcha nakdish, Kiddushatcha nakdish. Uv'shivchacha Eloheinu, mi'ipinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, Nagid God lecha. L'dor v'dor, L'dor v'dor, Nagid God lecha. Ki el melech gadol, v'kadosh ata, v'kadosh ata. Ki el melech gadol, v'kadosh ata, v'kadosh ata.
Back to page 145. 145, we conclude the Kiddusha in our Shacharit service at the bottom of the page.
Kadosh ata v'norah shemecha v'ein Eloha mibaladecha kakatu vayigba Adonai tzva'ot mishpat v'ha'el hakadosh mikdash b'tzdaka. Baruch ata Adonai nik hamelech hakadosh.
We invite you to continue silently here. Your options are here, continuing silently. There's some personal reflections if you'd rather read something like that in 483. For those who want a full traditional silent Amida at any of these services, it's on page 222. So again, continue silently in the way that's meaningful to you, standing or being seated when your prayer is complete or when you need to be seated.
Sorry about that.
Avinu Malkeinu, our parent, our sovereign, is one of the most poignant prayers of this season. We relate to the divine close and loving, like a parent, an ideal parent. Awesome as ancient people saw a sovereign. Dating back, the core of this dates back some 1900 years at least, and it's grown over the ages. It invites us to pour out our hearts in yearning and hope. When you'll hear our cantor leading us in part of this is Janowski, is the composer, and there'll be a part that I lead, and I invite you to sing it with me, because it'll be part Hebrew, part English, and just quietly join in, and then we'll all do the chorus together. It is customary we will rise and as able again, and when we open the ark, it's on page 158.
Avinu Malkeinu, chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata. Avinu Malkeinu, Kaddish Alenu, Kaddish Alenu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shlach refuah shalema, refuah shalema, lecholei amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, hafer atzat, oiveinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kale dever v'cherev v'ra'ah, ushvi umashchit mibnei v'ritecha. Avinu Malkeinu, slach umchal, lechol avonoteinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, return us to you in earnest repentance. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in your book for a life of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of sustenance. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of meritorious acts. Avinu Malkeinu, Inscribe us in the book of forgiveness. Inscribe us in the book of forgiveness and reconciliation.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Alenu, Chamol Alenu, V'elol Alenu v'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Pitach Sharei Shamayim, Pitach Sharei Shamayim, Litfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh leman boivoesh, Uvmayim al Kiddush shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema koleinu, Shema koleinu, hear our voices. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'haneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed b'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'haneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed b'hoshienu.
Please be seated. So we've come to our Torah service. Each time we take out the Torah, it's like we all stand together at Sinai, ready to learn. And I invite you to open your heart to a message that might be in today's reading that's particularly for you. In today's Torah portion, we read about our ancestor, Avraham Avinu, first Avraham, our father. He had fathered two sons from two different mothers, Ishmael with his servant woman Hagar, and Yitzchak, Isaac, with his wife Sarah. In the two holiday readings from the book of Genesis, that is today and tomorrow, each son is nearly sacrificed. Biblical family values. Okay. In today's reading, it is unfortunately Ishmael who is banished to the wilderness, but saved at the last moment by an angel from God, which parallels and foreshadows the story of the near sacrifice and rescue of Isaac that will be the subject of our wonderful play by Jeffrey Rosen and our discussion tomorrow. When Abraham Joshua Heschel was a young boy, the great rabbi of the 20th century, he was in Cheder, and they were teaching the stories of Ishmael and Isaac, and he began to cry. He was scared. And the teacher said, "Don't worry, God came in time, and God saved them. The angels came and called out and saved them." But he continued that even though angels come in time and God comes in time, human beings don't always come in time. We need to step in when we see people in need and in danger. As we read from the Torah today, we'll ask you to read the translation just for the sake of time. You can read the full translation in your Machzor. And take note of the many references to hearing and listening. For example, Abraham is told to listen to Sarah's voice, not her words, but her voice, to hear and feel the emotion behind her words. And when Hagar and Ishmael are banished to the wilderness, Hagar raises her voice and weeps, and we hear that God hears the boy's voice and saves them. But the Torah never actually noted that Ishmael cried out, so how could God hear him? Because God heard those silent cries. And the name Ishmael actually means, literally, God will hear. In today's Haftarah, we will also hear about silent prayers that God heard. So to be more God-like, we need to hear better. We need to show up in time like the angels, like God. We need to hear the silent cries, not always articulated. To be more God-like, we need to hear with our heart. Rabbi Arlene Schuster teaches that the word heart, if you look at it, has both hear and ear. And as we read today, let us hear with a listening heart. So today we're going to have Al Hoffman chanting with our special holiday tropes. And we have David Herschel will be assisting us upon the bima with any help that we need, sort of our assistant Gabbai. We're going to call on Rabbi Beth Cohen, our Rabbi Emerita, to carry the Torah around in a hakafah and bring it to the table. And we will call on Howie and Elaine Hoffman to open the ark. You find our Torah service on page 163. Okay. So all the people who I mentioned may wish to come up right now. And the cantor will lead us in Ein Kamocha 163.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein k'ma'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam v'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. Avrachamim hetiva virtzoncha et Sion tivnech amot Yerushalayim tivnech amot Yerushalayim ki v'cha levad batachu melech el ram v'nisa adon olamim.
We open the ark, and we might want to call in any of the kids that are going to be able to follow us around with the Torah, or if they're not already here in the room. Page 164, Vahi bin Soah.
Vayehi bin Soharon, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, V'yafutzu oivecha, Misanecha mipanecha, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Li'amo Yisrael b'Kedushato.
For the 13 attributes, you find them, these are God's divine qualities as declared in the Torah. You find them on 165 in Hebrew and in English on the front of your cantor handout.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Hapayim, v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha, v'Chata v'Nakeh, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Hapayim, v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Masea bomba fesha vichata vinake Yud-He, Vav-He, compassion and tenderness, patience and forbearance, kindness and awareness. It's in your handout. Bearing love from age to age, lifting guilt and mistakes, and making us free.
Page 165 at the bottom, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Adol Adonai Kadosh v'no Shemo. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Kadosh v'no Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, unramamo Shemo yachdav.
Go. Carry around and the children will follow.
Romamu on page 166, the last three lines. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu b'ishtachavu le'ar kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu b'ishtachavu le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtakavu le'ar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtakavu le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'eshtachavu le'ar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'eshtachavu le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'eshtachavu le'ar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'eshtachavu le'ar kodsho. We're going to go into Mikvah. Okay.
I want you all to know, I've actually never done that before. I've always watched somebody else go around. There was a time, many years ago, when we used to take the Torah and pass it through the entire congregation. We only had 150 people then, but it still took 25 minutes to a half hour. And the board decided, that's too much. So we stopped passing it through the congregation. But I hope that all who got to, who wanted to touch, got to touch. Thank you for the
Thank you. And you were truly like Moshe and Miriam guiding us through the wilderness. I thought, it's a big trek. Thank you so much, Rabbi Beth. And we will be hearing from Rabbi Beth on the morning of Yom Kippur. She'll be doing our Yom Kippur morning sermon. You'll hear more about that later. So, let's see. As our Torah reading can be found right in your Matzor, page 171, and from the book of Genesis, chapter, anyone who's watching at home, if you don't have the book, Genesis 21, starting with verse 1. There are going to be 3 Aliyot. Again, we encourage you, please just read the translation to yourself. Al Hoffman's our reader. Now, we're going to have our 3 Aliyot today. They're going to be group Aliyot, but with a social distancing style. So when you get called up for your Aliyah, we'll ask that self-select that like 1 or 2 representatives from that group will actually approach the reading desk and stand to the, where do you want them to stand? Over on the, one person will go over there. One person will come up to your left. And the rest of the group can come here and use my microphone here. Wearing masks, please leave your masks on. And if those who aren't comfortable doing that, standing up in your place for your Aliyah is also great, because some of them could be pretty big. We'll try it. We'll see how it goes. 2022, okay? Beats 2020. So to let you know, the first Aliyah will be for members of our Seaside Board of Directors. For the second Aliyah, it will be new members since if you joined since last Rosh Hashanah, you can stand in your place, or if some of you could come up here and use my microphone. And blessing is right here. And for those who are also, it should be in the book as well on page 170. And then the third one will be an open Aliyah, kind of self-selecting. If we know that Avraham and Sarah had the joy of welcoming a child in this Torah reading. So if you had a joyful occasion that you celebrated something this year and you want to get a blessing and just kind of beam that joy out to the congregation, you could be part of that Aliyah. Okay, so you guys ready over there? So, sorry? Yes, we invite the board members as a group, but one board member, maybe the president, if we haven't sent him their tour, will be the one at the table, and the rest of the board come up here where I am, and you can read it here, or if you're more comfortable, just stand at your place. Blessings up here. Okay. Yeah, you can say Yamdu Rishonim. So all our board members, we call on you. come up here to my spot here, and the rest, the president will represent over there at the table. Okay. Okay. Baruch Adonai Hamparach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'harbanu mikol ha'amim v'nosan lanu b'torah. Baruch atah Adonai
Notena Torah. Amen. Just stay.
Amen. Vadonai pakadet sarah kasher amar vayas Adonai l'sarah kasher diber vatahar vatelet sarah li'Avraham ben lizkunav lamoed asher diber oto Elohim vayikra Avraham et shem beno hanolad lo asher yalda lo Sarah Yitzchak Vayamal Avraham et Yitzchak beno ben shmonat yamim kasher tziva oto Elohim v'Avraham ben ma'at shana behivad ledlo et Yitzchak beno vatomer Sarah tzlok asali Elohim kol hashomea Yitzchak li vatomer mi milel le'Avraham Heini kavanim Sarah ki alati vein lizkunav vayigdal hayeled vayigamal vayas Avraham mishte gadol biyom higamel et Yitzchak.
Amen. Be in between you guys here. So, and you heard that beautiful trope. That melody is special just for the high holidays, and these really strong readers really have to work hard to learn that beautiful, beautiful melody. May the one, Mishabech, Avatenu Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Imotenu, Savkacha, V'Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and all the way down to us, bless those on our board who have made an Aliyah in honor of the Torah, in honor of this day of awe. And may you be like Sarah and Abraham, who laughed with joy at the birth of their son Isaac. May you be able to have good laughs as you work together. Maybe you be able to work together for the good. May all of your efforts have good rewards, and all your disagreements be only for the sake of heaven. May all of us support you and be inspired to leadership as we are inscribed, and you are inscribed in the book of life for a good year ahead. And let us say, Amen. Thank you so much. Yeshikach, you may be seated. So, thank you. And we're continuing, it'll be 172 is the reading.
172.
172. For our next Aliyah, we're going to call up new members. So raise your hand if you're a new member since last year. Okay. I think we got room for you up here. If you prefer, you can stand at your place. You can come here. There's a big page here with all the blessings. And one new member, whoever gets up here first, can go stand by the Torah over there and read the blessing out of the book, page 170. So we'll call you up. We call up our new members who've joined since last Rosh Hashanah. And any new members that are watching us on live stream, you go ahead and say that blessing with us, and your bracha will go to you too. Okay, you got it right here. Let's have one person to, whoever would like can go up by the Torah. Gotcha. Okay, you've got the words right there. Okay. Let them just find a place, and then we'll do it together. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Hamarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vatera Sarah et ben Hagar Hamitzrit asher yalda Avraham mitzachek vatomer leAvraham garesh ha'ama hazot v'et bina ki lo yirash ben ha'ama hazot im beni im Yitzchak vayera hadavar me'od b'nei Avraham al odot bino. Vayomer Elohim El Avraham Al Yera Benecha Al Hanar Vial Amatecha Kol Asher Tomar Elecha Sarah Shema Bekola Ki Yitzchak Yikare Lecha Zara Vegam et Ben Hama Legoy Asimenu Ki Zarachahu.
Adonai
Asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam Unetanneh Tokef. Baruch atah Adonai
Noteina Torah. Amen. So, veteran members, look around. There's some people standing in place, people up on the bima who are new members. Take a look at them. Be sure you greet them after the service or during the service. And we'll say a blessing for you. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, grant you blessing for coming up to make this Aliyah today in honor of the Torah, in honor of this day of awe. And by this merit, and by the merit that you've taken this courageous and beautiful step of joining our Jewish community, grant you so much blessing, and may you be blessed to make many new connections, finding your group, finding that relational Judaism in the year ahead. May all of us get to know you better as we weave together the threads of our community And may we all be inscribed in the book of life for a year of good in this day of awe. And we'll say, Amen. Asher Koach to you. Shana Tova. Shana Tova. And for our third Aliyah, each time we're going to do this, have one open Aliyah. So I want to ask you if you've having some nachas this year. Something gave you a lot of nachas, you celebrated something special, whether it was for you or for your kinderlach or your friends or whatever kind of special thing it was, and you want to get a special bracha for that, come on up. I mean, come on. I know you did. And the past year, something special happened for you. You are welcome to come up here. We can have, you guys could be over there if you want, and everybody else come on over to this side. Okay. The reading's on 172, kind of in the middle. You got the words there. Okay. And you can also stand in place if you rather do that too. Okay. Are we ready? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMorach, Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'farmanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayashkem Avraham baboker, vayikach lechem v'chemat mayim, vayitein el hagar, sam al shichma, ve'et hayeled vayishalcheha, vatelech vateta bamidbar be'er shava, vayichlu hamayim min hachemed, vatashlech et hayeled tachat achat hasichim, vatelech vateshev la mineged harchek kimat chavei keshet, ki amra al ereb motayeled, vateshev mineged, vatisa et kola vatev. Vayishma Elohim et kol hanar, vayikra malach Elohim el hagar min hashamayim, vayomer la malach hagar al tiri ki shama Elohim el kol hanar ba'asher hu sham. Kumi se'iyat hanar ve'achaziki et yadech bo, ki legoy gadol asimenu. Vayivkach Elohim et eineha, vatereh be'er mayim, vatelech, vatimarei et achem et mayim, vatashk et hanahar. Vayehi Elohim et hanar vayigadal vayeshev bamidbar vayehi roveh kashat vayeshev bamidbar paran vatikach lo imo Isha me'eretz Mitzrayim.
Okay. The blessing after. Amen. So when we're at a Jewish simcha, at a happy occasion, we wish everybody mazel tov, not just the celebrants, because everyone's happy occasion is all of ours. And so we're going to give you a big Misha Barach, and then we want that joy to spread to everybody. So we'll ask you to kind of think of a word to summarize your happiness, and we'll insert that in. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless all those who have come here and made an aliyah in honor of the days of awe and in honor of the Torah and in celebration of happy occasions like, go ahead and say them out loud, everybody. Our daughter got engaged. Our daughter got married. And say them some more. Retirements. Getting engaged. New grandbaby out there. Grandbabies. All of those simchas. And as you celebrated today, may you and all of us merit to celebrate many simchas, to always be there for each other in all the times of sorrow and also in the times of joy. And may these joys be multiplied so we feel that joy in every moment of life as we are written and sealed in the book of life for a good year ahead. And let us say, Amen. And y'all may be seated. Thank you. Guess you'll stay up because you're doing. We're going to do a healing prayer. And Yasher Koach to our reader, Al. That was phenomenal. Thank you. So we have a healing prayer before we lift and dress the Torah. And we invite you to just, everybody together will say the names of those. First bring into our heart the names of those for whose healing we pray. And may the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, send blessing and healing to, and please just softly say their names out loud. Diane Novick, to everyone in our congregation who's in need of healing. To Lynn Ullman. And the cantor will lead us in a prayer of healing. It's on page 179. No,
It's in the handout.
What?
It's on the outline. I'm sorry, I don't have it. It's on the outline.
Okay.
Page number.
It's on page 2. Yeah, page 2.
Adonai Rofeh HaCholim, Adonai the source of healing, bless them with courage and bless them with faith. V'nomar Amen. Adonai Chehaolamim, Adonai the life of the world, bless them with love of their family. sing in body and soul. Vinomar,
For Hagbah and Glila to lift and dress the Torah, we will call on Todd Hacker and Jeff Hotoff, and you can Yamdu Amagbia Vagodel. Okay. Yamdu Amagbia Vagolel. Please rise as able as the Torah is lifted. And then we're going to put the Torah back on the table after you dress the Torah, because we have the shofar and the sermon and all that. You don't have to hold it the whole time. You can. You can if you want. Okay. It's going to be a long time. Okay. And the Haftarah. Okay. V'zot HaTorah. It's okay. V'zot HaTorah. Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Yisrael Pi Adonai Beyad Moshe. And you may be seated. Our Haftarah on the first day of Rosh Hashanah is about another woman who prays for a child, Hannah. Her prayer for a child is silent with just her lips moving. She quietly prayed, and the Talmud tells us this is how we should ideally pray, kind of when we do the silent Amida. It's not totally silent, we're whispering. We're saying words that our ear can hear to God. Hannah's prayer will be answered as she had a great son, Samuel, who grew up to be a pivotal figure in Jewish history, bridging the world of judges, prophets, and monarchy. In order to make our Haftarah more accessible today, Cantor Michelle will chant the blessings in Hebrew and the Haftarah itself in a beautiful English translation by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. We invite you, so therefore you may wish to follow it in the book on page 183 or read it in Hebrew, or you may just want to listen, comprehend, and enjoy.
We hear Hannah's story today after years of suffering and yearning for a child. And Hannah decides to take action, and she confronts God with her bold and brave prayer, pouring out her heart. She is the first woman in the Hebrew Bible to confront God about her infertility. The solution reads with complexity, and Hannah decides to assert her power to change her life. And she knows that she cannot do this alone. She has to rely on forces beyond her control. She knows she has to show up, face God, and give herself over to God so that God will remember her. We learn that God does remember Hannah, and she has a son, Shmuel, who becomes our first prophet. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nviim tovim, v'ratza v'divrehem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. I'll tell you of Hannah. We hear her story every Rosh Hashanah. Hannah lived long ago with her husband Elkanah, but her womb was closed up. Hannah bore no children. So Elkanah married another, Peninnah, and Peninnah's womb was fruitful. She bore many sons. Every year when they went up to sacrifice at Shiloh, Elkanah would make an offering, and the meat would be apportioned. some for the Kohen, some for Penina, and some for Elkanah. Most would go to their sons, and the last little bit was for Hannah. Penina acted superior, and her pride was a thorn in Hannah's heart. Elkanah said to Hannah, "Why do you grieve? Don't you know? I would rather have you than 10 more sons." But Hannah's tears would not be soothed. It came to pass when they went up to Shiloh, Hannah stood alone before God and poured out her heart. She begged God to open up her womb and bless her with a child. She cried out with all her yearning. She promised if God lent her a son, she'd return the boy to God in sacred service. Then Eli the priest came upon her, and he was angry. He said, "Woman, for shame, do you come here now drunk?" She said, "No, my Lord, I am pouring my heart out to God." And he was chastened. When Hannah went home, fullness of time, she conceived a son. She named him Shmuel because she asked for him, and God heard her cry. When he was weaned, she took him to Shiloh. She said to Eli the priest, "You may not remember, but I was here before. I emptied myself in silent prayer, and God heard my cry and gave me this boy. Therefore I bring him to you, that he may spend his life in sacred service." And Eli and Hannah bowed down together. Why on this day of all days does to tell us this story? Maybe to teach us to pour our hearts to the one who hears all prayer. We may not always get what we seek in a form we understand. And here is what Hannah learned and what we can learn from her. When our hearts yearn, we can't begin to see ourselves whole until we see ourselves stand in the truth of our yearning. Only then can we see ourselves as truly seen by the Holy One, who already sees us for all we are and all we can be. Hannah, named for Chen. Grace in Hebrew teaches that grace can come to us in seeing the possibility of miracles, in our courage to speak out, in our courage to be who we really are. And in that merit, may the truth of our yearning strengthen us for a sweet new year. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Sur Devarav, Emet Tzedek, on page 194. Al HaTorah, V'al HaAvodah, V'al Hanvim, Shenatat Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Lichvod Ultifaret, Al HaKol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu Modim Lach, Umvarchim Otach, Yibarach Shimcha, Befi Kochai Tamid Liolam Vaed, Udvarcha Emet Vakayam La'ad, Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech Al Kol Haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael, Melech Al Kol Haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael, Melech HaKol Haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael, Melech HaKol Haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael. Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech HaKol Haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael, V'yom hazikaron.
Amen. Yasher Koach, Cantor, for that beautiful, unique Haftarah rendition. So we are, at this point in our service, we're hearing a few words from the Rabbi. It won't be more than an hour or two, don't worry. Then our shofar service, and we'll hear a little bit from the president, okay, and conclude our service. So, Rabbi Tarfon said, it is not up to you to complete the work. Neither are you free to desist from it, but that's Yom Kippur. There's an old rabbinic teaching that we should leave a little bit of our house unfinished. Had these guys seen our townhouse in Philly? Okay. But seriously, leaving a little bit of our house unfinished or unpainted was to be a reminder of the destruction of the temple, but more broadly, in a more abstract sense, it signifies that life is unfinished and all good things are incomplete, or I could say, nothing great is ever really finished. And Shabbat, that's another reminder that things are never finished. As Rabbi Tarfon says, it's not up to you to complete the work, lo alecha hamelacha ligmor. Well, the word he uses in Hebrew for work, he could have used different words. He used melacha, the very same word that the Torah uses for the work that we are not supposed to do on Shabbat. Lo ta'aseh kol melacha, you do no work on Shabbat. So think about it, it's a mitzvah. It's one of the big 10 to leave our work unfinished once a week. Whether or not there's something major on your to-do list, it's going to wait a day. It can wait a day. Think of it as a practice throughout our lives of knowing we can't and shouldn't try to do it all. I was brought up to believe that you should finish what you start, no matter how long it takes. But in an existential sense, life is all about unfinished business. In his book, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals, Oliver Burkeman takes on this principle of time management, that whether it is our youthful list of dreams, the endless to-do lists of our working years, or even that beckoning bucket list in retirement, life is finite. We have to let go of the illusion that productivity or even prioritization will somehow enable us to accomplish everything that we dream of or that society expects from us. The high holidays, too, have this theme, life is limited. That prayer that we sang, Unetanneh Tokef, and we'll delve even deeper into it on Yom Kippur, reminds us human life is fleeting. Much is beyond our control. But to paraphrase a saying from the technological world, our inability to complete everything in our lifetimes is not a bug in the system, it's a feature. Let me suggest the very fact that we can't do it all, that we must hand it over to other people after us, is the very thing that gives our life meaning. The idea of unfinished business is central to the Torah. At the holiday season on Simchat Torah, you all have to come. It is like the most fun holiday of the year, but we supposedly finish reading the Torah, immediately beginning it again. And if you really pay attention to what we read at the end of the Torah, the conclusion is a little less than satisfying. We have just spent 4 books following the career of Moses from his birth through his great leadership. And now, at the end of the Torah, God tells Moses to ascend Mount Nebo, look out over the panorama of the Holy Land, but then the kicker, I will let you see it with your eyes. V'shama lo ta'avor, you will not cross over. Moses dies with a kiss from God and is buried in an unmarked grave. The story of our people will continue without him, yet always with him. Reading this story again and again, year after year, as Reb Zalman would say, it is not for more information. It's for something else. Now, some scholars said that the book of Joshua that follows should have been the 6th book of the Torah. We enter the land, we conquer the land, but we read that in full in the synagogue. We don't pay that much attention to the book of Joshua, really. We read little selections. We are riveted by the story of Moses with his unfinished business more than the glorious continuation with Joshua. The unfinished story at the end of the Torah is a continual reminder that even our greatest leader couldn't complete the work, and neither can we. In a sense, Moses represents the idealist in each of us. He wants to be in the promised land with an exemplary society, a holy nation following the Torah, but with pain and protest, he learns to be satisfied with a vision of his dream and with knowing that he's nurtured a successor and the generations to come. And many of us, I know many of us here in this room, are idealists. We want to see our hopes for a better society come to fruition, our promised land, whether we dream of full equality for women, healing our environment, or a fully just society. We want to see it all in our lifetimes. But like Moses, we eventually realize that the journey to our ideals may have to be the destination. Moses eventually focused on building up his successor and preparing a new generation to go on without him. And because of that, he lives on. Because of that, some 3,400 years later, we still call him Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher. But our tradition of unfinished business in the Bible does not stop with Moses. Fast forward a few centuries, we have the indelible story of King David, who also had a great project that he never lived to see fulfilled. He ascended to the throne, vanquished the enemies, made Jerusalem the capital of the Jewish people, but his greatest dream was left to the next generation. He did not get to build the Holy Temple, because he had been warlike and shed innocent blood, according to the book of Chronicles. And his son Solomon, whose name Melech Shlomo means the king of peace, he can build the temple, the place of peace. King David wanted to build a house for God, but he learned somewhat ironically that God would be the one to build the bayit, the house for him. And it meant not a fancy building, but bayit, his people, his family, and continuation. Like King David, some in our midst have been high achievers in our careers. We didn't conquer nations. We may have been, though, heroes and VIPs in the boardroom rather than the battlefield. While gaining satisfaction from our work and careers, many high achievers eventually come to find that other things are even more valuable in the long run. It reminds me of a saying by actor Jim Carrey. I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see it's not the answer. While King David thought that his crowning achievement would be building an edifice in the capital he had founded, instead he learned that his descendants would be the greatest legacy to survive him. And some 3,000 years later, we sing, David melech Yisrael, chai chai v'kayam. David, king of Israel, lives on. And the third and last example I'll offer you in classic Jewish texts of unfinished business comes from the time of the early rabbis, 1,000 years after King David, the story of Honi HaMe'agel, Honi the circle maker. Honi was a kind of a Johnny Appleseed. A carob seed. He went around the Holy Land planting carob trees. And one day someone asked Honi how long it takes a carob seed to grow and bear fruit. And he said, 70 years. And the question was, well, are you going to live and see that? And Honi answered, I found trees planted in my world, my ancestors planted for me, and so I plant these for my children. So now our Jewish Johnny Appleseed or carob seed turns into Rip Van Winkle in the rabbinic legend. In the Talmud, he takes an afternoon nap like none other. He sleeps for 70 years. And when he awakens, he does get to see the tree fully grown and bear fruit. And he realizes what's going on, so he asks to journey to his old village. But sadly, it has changed so much it's unrecognizable. He enters the synagogue and the house of study and doesn't recognize anybody, for all his friends have long since passed on. Nobody believes who he is, and nobody honors him, so he actually prays for death, for which the sage Rabbi says, hence our saying, give me companionship or give me death. It was better to plan for the unseen future and the generations to come than to actually be there. So if Moses was the idealist, King David the achiever, Honi was what some philosophers call an effective altruist, doing things for the good of people he never expected to meet. The story of Honi has been rediscovered in our age of environmental concern. We often tell it at Tu B'Shvat. Anybody ever heard the story of Honi and Tu B'Shvat? A lot of you have heard it. And we, too, are like Honi. Every time we plant a seed, real or metaphorical, for something in the future, without needing to know what the future will be like or who will be the ultimate beneficiary of our work. That's one of the reasons the little holiday swag that you got, it has a little globe that you soak it in water and then you plant it and it will grow something, you'll see. Thanks to Lori Bernstein for helping me with those. So when I meditate, I'm told, be here now. But being happy in the here and now actually depends on knowing there's something bigger than ourselves that outlasts us. According to philosopher, professor, and nice Jewish guy, Samuel Scheffler, author of Why Worry About Future Generations, knowing that we aren't the completion, that life continues after us is critical to our happiness and our feelings of value and meaning in the present. He suggests various scenarios. If we knew we would live a great life, we would pass on peacefully, but the human race would disappear a short time after our deaths, whether violently or even peacefully. We would become depressed and lose much of our meaning in life. According to Professor Scheffler, because we take this belief in the future for granted, we don't, he says, think much about its significance. And yet, this belief plays an extreme role in our lives, quietly but critically shaping our values, commitments, and sense of what is worth doing. Astonishing though it may seem, there are ways in which the continuing existence of other people after our deaths, even that of complete strangers, matters more to us than our own survival and even that of our immediate loved ones. And that's why knowing that we are a part of efforts that may take generations, from scientific discoveries to social progress and justice, this gives life more meaning, not less. It's something secular society seems to be discovering as we feel the threat of climate change, even if the worst doesn't come to our lifetime, to note future generations depend on us so they may live and thrive. That has raised our consciousness of how important the future is to us. But as Jews, we've always been connected and blessed with this consciousness of the links of generations, l'dor vador, what we owe the past and what we must convey to the future, the chain of tradition, the masoret. that which is literally passed from one generation to the next. Well, we aren't Moses or King David or even Honia Magel, but like Moses, we can devote our whole lives to our ideals while knowing that we will end up passing the work of a better society to future generations. And reflecting on King David, we can realize that no matter how impressive our personal or career achievements, our greatest satisfaction may turn out to be in the relationships that live on after us. And like Choni HaMe'agel, knowing we are doing the best to provide a healthy and a beautiful environment for future generations can allow us to truly enjoy the blessings of life right here, right now. May it be so. Ken Yotzon. So I'd like to invite you, as I did, for you to be part of this sermon, just taking a moment, maybe like a minute, to turn to someone near you, whether the person you came with or someone across the aisle or in back of you. Is there something you're coming to terms with not completing or being able to finish? Or conversely, is there something you are completing that is the dream of someone who came before you? Just like each share with one another for half a minute, and reflect on this a little bit. Yeah. We will be able to continue this discussion after this service today. Now we'll turn to our shofar ritual. The sages instructed us to meditate upon three themes during Rosh Hashanah's later part of the service: Malchuyot, God's sovereignty; Zichronot, remembrance; and Shofarot, the sound of the shofar. To this end, I will offer just a guided moment of meditation by Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shlomi, my teacher, punctuated by our prayers and sounds of the shofar. We begin this section with this will be our Alenu for today, the great Alenu, during which many people have the custom to prostrate yourself by bowing all the way to the ground. If you're ready for some Jewish yoga, you can step in the aisle and do that, or just bow very low as is comfortable to you, reconnecting with the earth as our ancestors did in temple times. And so we'll turn now to the special Alenu, the great Alenu, page 199. Please rise as you're able. Yes. No?
Shalom. Vigor Alenu, Kechol Hamonam, Vanachnu Korim, Umishtachavim, Lifnei Melech Lachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And we'll remain standing as we'll turn back now to page 197 for the shofar calls, and we invite up our shofar blower, Jeff Hatoff. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. One more. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'echinu v'higianu lasman hazeh.
Tekiah, Shavarim Truah, Tekiah, Shavarim Truah, Tekiah, Shavarim Truah, Tekiah. On these days of awe, we emphasize this divine image of God, Melech, the sovereign. Let us take a moment to reflect and recalibrate our priorities for the year ahead. I invite you to take a moment quietly and consider, what is my highest value? What is my highest value? And do I live my life in accordance with it? What is my personal concept of God, and can I make it any higher this year? On page 202, Chatima 202.
Baruch atah Adonai Melech
HaKol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael, Melech HaKol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael, Melech HaKol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael, Melech HaKol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Melech al kol haaretz v'kadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Amen. Tekiah, Shavarim Truah, Tekiah, Shavarim, Tekiah,
Hareshet Sifatenu.
Reshet Sfaratenu, middle of 203.
In the middle of the page. Hareshet Sifatenu, Yerav Lefanecha, El Ram Benisa. Hareshet Sifatenu, Yerav Lefanecha, El Ram Benisa. Mevinu Masin Mabitu Makshib Kol Tkiatenu Utkabel Berachamim Berachamim Ratzon Seder Malchiotenu.
Zichronot. At this time, I invite you to take a moment and go inside yourself beneath the outer layers of social masks of all kinds and identities. On this holy day, take a few moments to let go of the busy rush of the year and the day and remember who you really are. Remember your deeper, more spiritual identity and be ready to reconnect with your own soul. Page 206, the Chatima, that is this sealing prayer, and then the shofar calls. 206 in the middle.
Baruch atah Adonai zocher habri.
Tekiah. Shvarim Truah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah.
Hareshet. In the middle of 207. Hareshet Sifatenu Yerav Lefanecha El Ram Benisa. Hareshet Sifatenu Yerav Lefanecha El Ram Benisa. Mevinu Mazin Mabitu Makshib Kol Tkiatenu Utkabel Berachamim Berachamim Uvratzon Seder Zichronotenu.
For this last set of shofar blasts, we've taken the time now for quiet contemplation, but the piercing cry of the shofar awakens and serves as a call to action. As we hear these final shofar blasts of the morning, I invite you to hear in their sound a personal call to your soul. What is your call to action in the year ahead? And the sealing blessing is on page 210. Hatima.
Baruch atah Adonai Shakol Truah Amo Yisrael Berach.
Tekiah. Shvarim Truah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah.
Last time.
Ashikah.
Hareshet Sifatenu Yerav Lefanecha El Ram Benisa. Hareshet Sifatenu Yerav Lefanecha El
remain standing as able, we return the Torah to the ark, and we'll call up Andy and Susan Aronson to actually be closing the ark as Todd returns the scroll. And we sing together Eitz Chaim, page 213. The Torah is our tree of life.
Eitz Chaim hi, lamachzikim ba, v'tov
If you'd like, please remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish. Then we'll hear some words from our president and our closing blessing. For those who wish to say Kaddish, please bring to mind your loved ones, say their names quietly, bring them to you, welcome them to be here with you as they've been accompanying you throughout these days of awe. And join me in Kaddish, page 216. Yitgadal v'yitkadash mei Rabbi, be'alma divra pirutei v'yamlich matmutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chaye defol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbi mevorach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'al v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadal v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei v'kucha b'richu. La'ela, la'ela, minkol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim alenu v'arko Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu v'arko Yisrael, v'arko yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May the one who brings peace on high help us bring peace in our world. We say amen. We may be seated. And we'll welcome, to have the last word today, our president, Achron Chaviv. I mean, the last is very special. And he's going to tell us things going on and say a few words to us. And after that, with a benediction and closing song, we'll invite you to join us and greet us in the lobby if you have time to do so. President, Dr. Sana.
Thank you, Rabbi. Absolutely gorgeous service today. Wonderful to see so many familiar faces as well as a lot of new faces out there. And hello, everyone streaming as well. A few thank yous first, and then a couple announcements, and then a few remarks that I want to make. First of all, Rabbi Danan, thank you for your leadership. I truly have loved our first 9 months together and look for many, many more, and your leadership here at High Holidays is just fantastic. Thank you, Cantor Michelle Rosansky. Absolutely beautiful. I was going to try to sing these in a similar tune to the Cantor, but I didn't want to do that. You didn't want to hear that. Our viola player, Alicia Mickenberg, thank you so much for joining us as well and accompanying us. Avraham, thank you for your soloist work in joining us today. Jeff Haltoff, thank you for shofar blowing. And of course, Al Hoffman, excellent Torah reading. Enjoyed it very much. Everybody else that participated in the service today, thank you for the honors and the readings and everything else that we got to enjoy. I also want to make a mention to our ushers and our security folks. Thank you so much for taking care of keeping us safe in here. We also have a police officer that is on call and here on premises while we're in services, so we can pray in peace and really enjoy the environment. Oh, yes, and thank you. Yeah, and for the folks that did the youth activities, Alyssa Simon, Todd Hacker, and anybody else that may have helped them, thank you so much for providing some additional services for our young people. I think that was wonderful. See, any other thank yous? That's probably pretty good. If I forgot anybody, I apologize. A few announcements that I wanted to share. First of all, Community Service Committee organizing food collection drive, which will take place during the daytime service of Yom Kippur. The collection drive will benefit Good Samaritan Pantry at Epworth, here at Epworth. You can leave your collection items on Yom Kippur. There'll be a cart that'll be provided in the lobby. Today, you can pick up a paper grocery bag. It has a flyer attached. You'll see it on the blue table when you exit, so go ahead and grab one of those. Take it home, put in some supplies, and bring it back to us. Food, grocery, donations, etc., and bring it back on Yom Kippur Day. Later today, Tashlich, 5 p.m., various locations. And in advance, I want to thank those of you leading Tashlich, so please go to our website, eBlast, to look for the different locations where you can join us for Tashlich. Second day Rosh Hashanah, tomorrow at 10:30, and we'll be back at our main campus, Seaside Jewish Community, right down the road. So 10:30, join us for that, and we got to find out what's going to happen during this play, The Trial of Abraham. We will also be at Seaside this Saturday for Shabbat Shuvah, 10 a.m., so please join us for that. And then Sunday, we've got a couple of different things going on. We have Reverse Tashlich, October 2nd. There's some information on the blue table as well about what is Reverse Tashlich, in case you're wondering. And we're also going to need some help putting up the sukkah. We just keep going, don't we? Keep having things going on this time of year. So if you could help with putting up the sukkah, 9 a.m. October 2nd, reach out to Matt Ash or Peter Zoll for more information about that. Then, next week, October 4th, because I know you didn't get enough today, you need to be here for Kol Nidre, 6:30 on October 4th, and then, of course, Yom Kippur Day services the next morning, and then the next afternoon on October 5th here at Epworth. All right. And so announcements and thank yous are not really the main reason why I'm speaking to you today, although I enjoy doing those things. I remember one other thank you I do want to say before I go on with this. Reba and Barry Novich, thank you so much for your high holiday logistics. I did forget to mention them in my other remarks. But really thankful to Reverend Bo and the Epworth staff here for making this a wonderful experience here, and everybody that pitched in to make Epworth such a wonderful place for us to daven and to feel together in a sense of community. It's my honor and privilege to stand before you today and give what we affectionately known as the appeal speech. You were all expecting this, I know. Anyone who knows me, though, knows that this isn't really my favorite thing to do. It's not something that I relish, asking money for people. But in the case of Seaside Jewish Community, it's actually kind of simple. I'm passionate about Seaside. I care about Seaside, and this comes from the heart. Personally, Seaside Jewish Community has been one of the most influential experiences of my adult life. When I gave the appeal speech last Rosh Hashanah, some of you will recall me sharing my story of graduating college in 1993, getting my first teaching job here in Sussex County. And at that time, I wasn't married, I had no kids, no real obligations. I certainly could have gone anywhere, but I actually chose to live here. Naturally, of course, I was unsure about what that meant for my Jewishness. How could I find Shabbat candles? Would I have to drive over an hour to go to high holiday services, or for that matter, Shabbat services? When I was ready to get married and start a family, would we need to move somewhere to be closer to other Jews? Alyssa and I began dating a few years later, and our story kind of parallels Seaside in many ways. We were engaged in 1997, as Seaside was just getting started. We married in 1998, as Seaside was in its infancy. We knew there was a group locally that had begun to meet, but we were kind of unsure about whether it would meet our needs. Our son and daughter followed. They were born in the early 2000s, as Seaside was growing and building this religious school and community that we now know of as Seaside Jewish Community. We wanted to create that opportunity for our kids to connect with others, with other Jews, and receive a Jewish education. I remember a conversation in the early 2000s that Alyssa and I had with Jeff Hautoff, who happened to be president of Seaside at the time, and his wife Nancy Gideon, who also happened to be our pediatrician. They assured us that Seaside Jewish Community was a wonderful place to raise kids, and that synagogue was now growing and had this religious school in operation. So Alyssa and I started bringing our kids, Ethan and Emily, to children's activities, services, and major holiday celebrations. We instantly felt the warm embrace from others. Founder and longtime member Stanley Silverblatt, in our synagogue's 25th anniversary video, said about the early days of Seaside, and I'm going to quote him, "A few people I think we scared away. With our love, people would come in, we'd grab you, we'd hug you." End of quote. This didn't scare me and Alyssa, though. I remember being grabbed. This didn't scare us. Maybe the kids a little bit, but not us. Truly, we were thrilled with the enthusiasm of the community and the feeling that there was a strong presence of Judaism forming in Sussex County. It was exactly what we wanted. Over these nearly 20 years, I've been blessed to make so many lasting friendships. Alyssa and I became part of our game night crew. It's essentially our Haftarah. At Seaside, I've served as membership chair, secretary of the board of directors, religious school director, and now president. I've helped plan many Seaside events, including the Oive 5K, as well as a lot of multi-faith activities, including the John Lewis Bridge Walk. I chose to do these things because Seaside is really important to me. It's important to us, and it's a special place. I'm dedicated to ensuring the present and future of Judaism in southern Delaware. Last night, when the rabbi spoke about Dr. Ron Wolfson's book about relational Judaism is exactly what I felt when I came to Seaside, and I want others to feel that same feeling. Since last high holidays, Seaside has gone through some significant events, hiring Rabbi Danan for one, and hosting our installation, celebrating Seaside's 25th anniversary, honoring our founders at that anniversary, having a huge concert. Video and booklet are available on our website, by the way. And speaking of our website, that's another new and improved thing since last high holidays. So many more exciting things, too many for me to name in this short talk, but I'm honored to have played a role in making these things happen. Despite our changing growth, the continuity of Seaside's values, unchanged from our early beginnings, has continued to fuel and support, encourage us to be involved. The influence of those who came before me and set the groundwork has been a major motivator for me and my level of involvement over the years. It's why I was so passionate that we have a 25th anniversary and honor our founders. So why give to Seaside Jewish Community, and what does that look like? For me, the first part of the question is really easy to answer. Giving financially, as well as with involvement, I see as mitzvot. As you can tell, being connected to the Seaside is really important to me, and I hope it already is important to you or will become just as important to you. Ultimately, I choose to give to Seaside because Seaside is fortunate to have such generous people who are willing to give either their time, their money, or both. This giving for me is because this community has given my family, Alyssa, my parents, and my children a home. It's a place where we can make a difference within the Jewish community, as well as in the larger community, and feel connected, embraced, and loved. Please take this opportunity to give to Seaside Jewish Community. We're in a period of growth. Growth is wonderful, but of course, growth comes with a cost. High holiday donations are crucial to support our annual budget. Last year, I focused on the Retire the Mortgage campaign. At that time, we made it a goal to pay off the $300,000 mortgage remaining on our $1.4 million expansion to our beautiful building. We had hoped to pay it off by the end of 2022. I am thrilled to say, because of your generosity, we recently made the final payment on the mortgage. Seaside's building is completely paid off. Yeah, you're allowed to clap. Now our focus can shift towards other projects that will enhance our programming at Seaside. One goal for 2023 is to cover our patio. Anyone who's attended an event at Seaside over the past year has probably spent some time in our backyard on our outdoor patio. It is a lovely space and allows an opportunity for us to nosh, kibitz, in the fresh air. The space is perfect in nice weather, but of course it needs protection from the elements when the weather is inclement. In an effort to keep everyone safe at Seaside, security plays a bigger role than it has in the past. Security measures protect us, but they also come at a cost. We have also become quite adept at providing virtual opportunities to our members who can't come in person or would prefer to view a service or program from home, like many of you are doing today. Upgrading our AV capabilities is important to us as we serve the wide variety of needs for our over 600 members. A larger building and a full-time rabbi require support. I want to ensure that Seaside can meet its needs. This continued support of our long-term members, as well as our newer members, is essential for our sustainability. Our growth, including the building, is a result of our founders and longtime members, while keeping our newest members and the trend of a growing membership in mind. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to Seaside in the past. Please consider additional support this year through high holiday donations. I hope you're feeling generous and will give. Despite many of the increased costs to Seaside, I'm pleased to share that in our proposed budget for 2023, we are not planning to raise dues. I am hoping you will be willing and able to help offset many of these needs that we have as a congregation, as a community, by donating additional money to Seaside. It is through these donations that we are able to provide so much on a modest budget, including these high holiday services at no charge. In your prayer books, your machzor, you have an envelope with donation information. Feel free to send that back to us with your donation. You can also go online to our website and make your donation or find more information for giving there. Ultimately, giving is a personal decision. Whether you choose to give to the general fund or a specific purpose, such as youth education, adult education, or many of the other wonderful programs that we offer, it's all helpful. Alyssa and I have chosen to give what we can for many years. We give because we want to ensure a strong Jewish community for years to come. Kind of like Tony, right? We want future generations of young Jewish families to have a home, a community, and to be able to build connections like we have been so fortunate to do over the years. Last year, the principal of the school that I work at came up with the idea, best year yet. I'm going to take a page out of her book, 5783, best year yet. Shana Tova, good Yontif, and here's to a sweet year.
It's certainly been my joy to have you here as the president in my inaugural year here, so much. So as we do our closing blessing and closing song afterwards, if you're able, you want to greet us out in the lobby, the cantor and I and Dr. Simon will be out there to greet people. This year, this Rosh Hashanah, may we know we don't have to do it all and we can't do it all, but together, each doing our unique part, we can do great things now and in ways that reach into a future we can't even imagine. L'shana tova tikatevu v'techatemu. May we be written and sealed in the book of life for a good and sweet new year. Shana tova umetuka. Supplement. It is not your duty to complete the work, neither are you free to desist from Good Yom Tov, good Yor. We'll meet you out in the lobby if you like. Yes, come on.
Yeah, be right there.
Greet your public.
Pardon me?
Go greet your public.